Fortunately, he does manage to get away with that speed upgrade. He was able to run out, and it looks like Bob Shoemaker is putting up his expansion now, and his army is going to move across the map and put a little pressure on the Zerg player's base, which this actually looks like it may be a big enough army to win the game right now if he puts pressure on the entrance. As you can see, there is almost 1,000 minerals in difference between the army sizes. So the Protoss player has a bigger army, and it has a more tech-heavy army. So we'll see if he is able to actually get in there and cause some damage. There is an observer overhead keeping an eye on the Zerg army, although it looks like the Protoss player Bob Shoemaker is going to back off for some reason. I'm not sure if he thinks that he cannot take that army on, but it looks like he actually has enough. But he is going to back off and try to secure this expansion. A robotics bay going down right now, so it looks like we also will be seeing some colossi on the map here shortly, as well as a couple more gateways. So a total of 5 gateways going down here, and once he has this these last 2 and turns them into warp gates, he will be able to warp in 5 units at a time across the map, which will be very, very useful for macroing up quick chunks of his army across the map wherever he has pylon power. And looking back at Menion's base, he still does not have full mineral saturation at his main base. So it looks like both of these players have kind of agreed to lay off of each other in the early game and not do any serious harassment, and basically just tech to a later game and get their expansion set up and everything. So we will be seeing a pretty large battle when these players eventually do clash here, but not sure exactly when or where that's going to be at this point, since there has been virtually no conflict. Actually, if we take a look at the units lost tab, we can see that only a few units lost on both sides, and 0 resources for the Zerg player. I'm not sure how you would lose units but no resources, unless they killed creep tumors or something like that. But anyways, looking at the resources lost, four lost there, so he lost an observer and basically just a few probe scouts. So there has actually been no battles in this map so far, and this overseer coming in here again, trying to get a peek of the Protoss army, and both players once again just kind of laying back in their bases, not really willing to go out and risk their forces against the other at this point in time. So pretty slow game at this point, but we do see that the range upgrade for the Colossi is being researched right now, even though there is no Colossi currently building. If we take a look at the productions overlay here, we can see that also he has the Zealot charge upgrade being researched at his Citadel right now, and the Zerg player continuing to produce drones, and actually has a Spire going up here as well. So it looks like we may be seeing some Mutalisks in the mix here, or possibly if he tries to go for Hive Tech, we could possibly even see some Broodlords. And it looks like the Zerg player Menion finally getting up some more drones at his main mineral line, although he still is not quite at full saturation. He is utilizing that mineral line better than he has been for most of the game. And at this point, both players still relatively close, although it looks like there is a slight advantage now, somewhere between 100 and 200 minerals typically for the Zerg player. So he does have that economic advantage, but at this point with the observer overhead for the Protoss player, he is going to be completely aware of exactly what is in the Zerg army and where that Zerg army is located. And it looks like Menion opting to go for another expansion, so he's going to get his second expansion up before Bob Shoemaker does. And the first Colossi is now on the map for Bob Shoemaker, and he is actually building another one right now, although it looks like he is currently supply blocked at 108, so not going to be able to get that second Colossi out until he gets some additional pylons up on the map. But the Zerg player looks like moving his army around a bit. I'm not sure exactly what it is he's trying to do here, if he's going to attack. I guess just kind of moving them around, and he does have some Corruptors here. So I'm guessing those Corruptors are going to be the response to the Colossi. Corruptors are actually very good for taking Colossi down, although outside of that, there's not a whole lot of use other than casting Corruption on buildings, because they are anti-air only until you morph them into Broodlords. Although, like I said, if he does go for his Hive Tech, we may see some Broodlords out on the map as well, which Broodlords are actually very strong, and I do not see them used very often because they are a tier 3 unit, and it's not very easy. Most games that I've seen do not go to tier 3 simply because the biggest thing, I believe the only things actually that you get from tier 3 are Ultralisks and Broodlords, and Ultralisks have not been used a whole lot in the beta from what I've seen. They are much more potent with the recent patch 12, where they added some more damage to the Ultralisk, but they still do not seem to be used a lot in 1v1 games. So a lot of players just do not tech to that tier 3 tech because there's not a whole lot that you gain from it as a Zerg player. But anyways, it looks like Menion is going to move out across the map and possibly try to put some pressure on the front of Bob Shoemaker's base. And there is actually one Phoenix in the mix here as well. I know that it's kind of hard to see with this Colossi standing right over it, but that is just how tall those Colossus are. But anyways, Bob Shoemaker is indeed going to move out across the map here, and actually, no, he is not going to attack possibly. He is sitting right outside the entrance and continuing to move away from it. Looks like he's going to check to see if this high yield base has been taken yet, which of course it has not. So I'm not sure if he's going to take that himself, if he's going to kill these destructible rocks and try to get there, but it looks like actually at the same time Bob Shoemaker is moving his army out. So both players are going to meet up in here in the middle shortly, and we will see who has the better unit composition. As of this point, I gotta say that I think that Bob Shoemaker has the advantage because he has 3 Colossi and he has the Immortals. And those Colossi and Immortals are exactly what you need to burn down this Roach Hydra army. Although with these infestors overhead, those Colossi are definitely going to be much more susceptible. Although a large portion of the Roach is going down already, and these Corruptors are not doing their job taking down these Colossi. It looks like they were able to take 1 down, but still 2 Colossi remain in the Protoss army. And these Hydralisks, for some reason, trying to run away and just run straight into the cannons of Bob Shoemaker. And Bob Shoemaker is going to absolutely dominate this this Zerg army that he's going against. His second Colossi does go down, but he still has most of his ground army. So he is going to be able to completely walk through the Zerg player. As we look at the unit overlay here, we can see that the Zerg player does have 12 Hydralisks, but that is about it, as opposed to the 9 Zealots, 3 Immortals, 2 Colossi, 9 Stalkers, and 2 Sentries. So a very, very diverse unit mix for the Protoss player right now, and he takes down the expansion very easily of Menion, and it looks like he is going to move in here and try to take out the main base as well. That one lone Zealot, poor Zealot, getting fired down by those 20 Hydralisks there, it looks like. And you can just see how effective those Colossi are against those Hydralisks. Even with just the 2 Colossi getting a few shots off, they did a ton of damage and managed to take out a handful of those Hydralisks. So especially with the backing of these Immortals, that is just going to be very strong. And actually, even the Zealots with this charge on the charge legs are actually very effective against Hydralisks as well. So unfortunately, just Hydras, it doesn't seem, are going to get the job done right now. But it looks like Bob Shoemaker is going to try to move into the Zerg base right now. And this one lone Spine Caller is going to be focused down. And there is going to be a battle here. You can see these Zealots moving right up in front with that charge ability, able to get in there very quick. And basically the Immortals and Colossi are going to clean those Hydralisks up very quickly. And it looks like the Zerg player is about out of this game. He has no more forces left practically. And his expansion is going to go down very quickly here. And at this point, I don't think that there's really anything else that he can do to stay in this game, because he does not have the capability to produce. And he is going to GG. So game 1 is going to go to Bob Shoemaker. We're going to move on to game 2 right now. GG.